Yo, America. Picture this. A shy girl, humiliated by bullies who ripped her shirt after a brutal prom rejection, unleashes a roundhouse kick that silences the entire gym. This story's packed with heart, betrayal, and twists that'll leave you speechless. If you love your mom and dad, smash that subscribe button to show some love for our girl and join the crew. Let's dive into this epic tale. Lila Grayson had always been a ghost in the halls of Westbridge High, a small-town school nestled in the rolling hills of Ohio. At 17, she was a senior with auburn hair that fell in soft waves over her shoulders, always tucked behind her ears to avoid drawing attention. Her hazel eyes, flecked with gold, were usually fixed on the floor or buried in the pages of a fantasy novel. Lila's backpack was a fortress, stuffed with sketchbooks where she poured her imagination into intricate drawings of dragons, warriors, and far-off worlds where she could be anyone but herself. She was invisible, and she preferred it that way. In a town where popularity was a currency traded in loud laughs and confident strides, Lila had none to spend. She was content to drift through her final year, counting down the days until graduation would set her free. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. It all began with a note, slipped into her locker during third period on a crisp April morning. The folded paper was unassuming, with Lila scrawled in blue ink across the front. Her heart stuttered as she unfolded it, her fingers trembling. The words inside made her breath catch. "Will you go to prom with me? Ethan Cole." Ethan was Westbridge High's golden boy, the quarterback with a megawatt smile and eyes that could charm anyone. He was the kind of guy who made girls blush and guys want to be his friend. Lila had seen him in the halls always, flanked by his crew, including his girlfriend, Kaylee Summers, the head cheerleader whose laugh cut like glass. This note couldn't be real, had to be a mistake, or worse, a setup. Lila clutched the note, her palms sweaty, and spent the rest of the day in a fog. Her mind raced as she sat in biology, her pencil hovering over her notebook. Ethan had smiled at her once, hadn't he? Last month, when she'd answered a question about mitosis, he'd glanced her way, his lips quirking up. Maybe he'd noticed. Her doodles in the margins of her notes, her quick answers when the teacher called on her. By lunch, she'd convinced herself the note might be genuine. She sat alone in the cafeteria, her tray of lukewarm pizza untouched, and wrote a reply. In her careful handwriting, "I'm flattered, but I can't. I'm sorry." Prom wasn't her world. The thought of crowds, glittery dresses, and pulsing music made her skin crawl. But saying no to Ethan Cole felt like defying gravity itself. She slipped the note into his locker after fifth period, her heart pounding, and hurried away before anyone could see. The fallout came faster than she'd expected. By sixth period, whispers trailed her like shadows. Girls in the hallway shot her sidelong glances, their giggles sharp and knowing. Boys smirked, nudging each other as she passed. Lila kept her head down, her backpack straps digging into her shoulders, but the air felt charged, like a storm about to break. The storm hit in the girls' bathroom after school. Kaylee and her clique Brittany, Tara, and Jade were waiting, their reflections in the chipped mirrors like a pack of wolves. Kaylee stepped forward, her blonde ponytail swinging, her eyes glinting with venom. "You think you're too good for Ethan?" she spat, her voice low and dangerous. Lila's mouth went dry. "No, I just don't do prom," she stammered. Backing toward the wall, Brittany smirked, twirling a strand of her curly hair. "Oh, you'll wish you said yes, bookworm." Tara laughed, her braces flashing, and Jade snapped a photo with her phone, the flash blinding. They left Lila there, her knees shaking, the crumpled note still in her fist. She thought that was the worst of it. She was wrong. The next day, gym class became a battlefield. Westbridge High's gym was a cavernous space, all squeaky floors and harsh fluorescent lights that buzzed overhead. The class was practicing volleyball, a sport Lila loathed for its chaos and attention. She hung back, as always, hoping to blend into the sidelines. But Kaylee had other plans. As Lila reached for a stray ball near the net, Kaylee accidentally bumped her shoulder slamming, into Lila's with deliberate force. The impact sent Lila stumbling, her sneakers squeaking on the polished floor. Before she could recover, Tara grabbed the hem of Lila's oversized t-shirt, the one she wore to hide her frame. With a vicious yank, the fabric tore, a jagged rip, exposing Leela's plain beige bra and the flush of humiliation creeping up her chest. The gym erupted in laughter. Boys hooted, their voices echoing off the walls. Girls whispered, their phones already out, recording the moment. Ethan stood by the bleachers, his face unreadable, his hands stuffed in his pockets. Leela froze, clutching the shredded shirt to her chest. Her vision blurred with tears, her ears ringing with the crowd's mockery. She wanted to disappear, to melt into the floor and never resurface. But beneath the shame, something else stirred a spark she'd buried long ago. A flicker of defiance she hadn't felt in years. Kaylee stepped closer, her smirk cruel. "What's wrong, bookworm? Gonna cry?" That's when it happened. Body moved before her mind caught up. Her right leg snapped up in a perfect arc, a roundhouse kick that caught Kaylee square in the shoulder. The force sent the cheerleader stumbling back, her arms flailing until she crashed into a stack of gym mats with a thud. The gym went silent, jaws dropped, phones still recording. Even the volleyball stopped bouncing, rolling to a halt in the corner. Lila's breath hitched. She hadn't meant to do that. Or had she? The move was muscle memory drilled into her. Years ago, in a dusty dojo on the edge of town, she was 10. Her father had enrolled her in Taekwondo, hoping to channel her boundless energy. Back then, Lila had been a firecracker, all scraped knees and fierce dreams, practicing kicks until her legs ached. She'd loved the rhythm of the dojo, the snap of her uniform, the quiet focus of each form. When her family hit hard times, her dad's factory job cut hours, her mom picking up extra shifts at the diner Taekwondo, became a luxury they couldn't afford. Lila quit at 13, too shy to ask for help, too quiet to fight for herself. She'd packed away her uniform and her dreams, letting the spark fade. Until now, Coach Daniels blew his whistle, his face red as he stormed over. "Grayson, office." Now, Leela didn't argue. She grabbed her backpack, still clutching her torn shirt, and walked out, her head high for the first time in years. The gym buzzed behind her, students whispering, phones pinging with notifications. By lunch, the video of her kick had spread like wildfire, shared across every group chat in Westbridge. Hashtags like #ShyGirlSnaps and #KAYLEE got kick trended on social media. Lila expected suspension, maybe even expulsion. Principal, Mrs. Hargrove, called her into the office and closed the door. "Where'd you learn that?" she asked, her gray eyes studying Lila over her glasses. Lila mumbled about Taekwondo, bracing for a lecture. Mrs. Hargrove leaned back in her chair, a faint smile tugging at her lips. "You've got grit. Kid, don't let them dim it." The video didn't just stay in Westbridge. It went viral, racking up thousands of views on platforms like TikTok and Instagram. Strangers across Ohio and beyond chimed in, some calling Lila a hero, others a troublemaker. Kaylee's parents stormed into the school, demanding action, claiming their daughter was traumatized. But the full video posted by an anonymous student told a different story. Kaylee's deliberate shove, the ripped shirt, the crowd's cruel laughter. Social media erupted, with girls who'd been bullied sharing their own stories, tagging Leela as an inspiration. Her phone buzzed, non-stop support from strangers, taunts from Kaylee's defenders, even a few death threats. Overwhelmed, Lila muted her notifications and retreated to her bedroom, where she pulled out her sketchbooks. She drew a warrior version of herself, standing tall in a Taekwondo uniform, kicking through a wall of flames. Then came the first twist. Ethan found her at the library after school, his usual swagger replaced by a nervous fidget. He stood by her table, rubbing the back of his neck. "Lila, I'm sorry," he said, his voice low. "I didn't know Kaylee would go that far." Leela's eyes narrowed, her pencil pausing over her sketch. "You wrote the note." Ethan shifted, his gaze dropping to the floor. "Yeah, but it wasn't my idea. Kaylee dared me to. She thought it'd be funny." The words hit like a punch. The note, the flutter of hope it had sparked, was a prank, a cruel setup to humiliate her for Kaylee's amusement. Lila's spark flared into anger, but she didn't kick this time. She closed her sketchbook, stood, and walked away, her silence louder than any words. Asterisk, the school didn't suspend her. The video evidence and witness statements confirmed Kaylee's provocation, and Lila received a warning instead. Kaylee, however, got a 3-day suspension for bullying, which only fueled her fury. Whispers followed Lila in the halls, but now they were different, less cruel, more curious. Classmates who'd never spoken to her before nodded in passing. A freshman girl slipped a note into her locker. "You're badass. Thank you." Lila tucked it into her sketchbook, her chest tight with something new pride. Asterisk, the second twist came a week later. Lila's old Taekwondo coach, Mr. Han, saw the viral video and tracked her down through the school. He was older now, his hair grayer, but his voice still carried the same quiet authority she remembered. He ran a dojo in Columbus, an hour's drive away, and he wanted Lila to train again, a full scholarship. "You've got a gift," he told her over the phone. "Don't waste it." Lila hesitated. The gym incident had cracked her shell. But stepping back into the world felt like standing on a cliff's edge. She'd spent years hiding, building walls to keep herself safe. Could she really do this? Asterisk, her parents saw the spark in her eyes and wouldn't let her say no. Her dad, a burly man with calloused hands, sat her down at the kitchen table. "You're not that shy girl anymore," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "You've got fire in you, Lila. Always have." Her mom, exhausted from a double shift, squeezed her hand. "We'll make it work. You deserve this." Lila nodded, her throat tight, and called Mr. Han back. She was in asterisk. Training again was like waking up. The Columbus dojo was bigger than the old one, with polished wooden floors and mirrors lining the walls, pushing her through drills until her muscles screamed. She practiced her roundhouse kick, her form sharper with each session, her confidence growing. She wasn't just fighting for herself, now she was fighting for the girl she'd been. The one who hid in the shadows, too afraid to stand tall. Asterisk, at the dojo, Lila met Mia, a junior, with a quick laugh and a mean jab. Mia was everything Lila. Wasn't bold, outspoken, with a knack for making friends. She saw Lila's quiet strength and latched on, dragging her into conversations and sparring matches. "You're a beast, Grayson," Mia said after Lila landed a perfect kick during practice. "Own it." For the first time, Lila had a friend, someone who saw her not as the shy girl but as a fighter. Mia pushed her to compete, and by spring, Lila signed up for a regional Taekwondo tournament in Dayton. The thought of competing terrified her, but it also thrilled her. She wasn't invisible anymore. Asterisk, back at school, Kaylee's clique kept their distance, but the tension lingered. Kaylee's suspension had only deepened her grudge, and she spread rumors Lila was violent, unstable, a freak. Some believed her, but others didn't. The video had changed Lila's image. Students started approaching her, asking about Taekwondo, complimenting her sketches when they caught glimpses in class. Even Ethan tried to talk to her again, cornering her in the hallway. "I messed up, okay? Didn't mean for it to go this far." Lila looked at him, his perfect face no longer dazzling. "You chose to play along," she said, her voice steady. "Live with it." She walked away, leaving him staring after her. Asterisk, prom came and went. Lila didn't attend, choosing instead to spend the night at the dojo, sparring with Mia under Mr. Han's watchful eye. She heard later that Ethan and Kaylee broke up that night, his guilt over the prank driving a wedge between them. Kaylee's clique fractured, her influence waning as graduation loomed. Lila didn't care. She was focused on the tournament. Her sketchbooks now filled with drawings of herself in a Taekwondo uniform, standing on a podium, a medal around her neck. Asterisk, the tournament was a blur of nerves and adrenaline. The Dayton Convention Center was packed, the air thick with the shouts of competitors and the cheers of the crowd. Lila's first match was against a girl from Cincinnati, tall and fast. She was shaking as she stepped onto the mat, but Mr. Han's voice echoed in her head. "Breathe, focus, fight." Lila won, her roundhouse kick landing clean, the crowd roaring. Kaylee was there in the stands, her face sour as Lila advanced. Lila didn't glance her way. She was fighting for herself now, not for revenge. Asterisk, match after match. Lila pushed forward, her body moving with a grace and power she'd forgotten she had. In the final round, she faced a black belt from Toledo, a girl with years more experience. The fight was brutal, each point hard-won. Lila's legs burned, her lungs ached, but she didn't back down. With seconds left, she spun into a roundhouse kick, her foot connecting with her opponent's chest. The buzzer sounded. She'd won. The crowd erupted, Mia screaming from the sidelines. Mr. Hahn hugged her, his eyes shining. "That's my girl," he said. Asterisk Lila stood on the podium, a gold medal heavy around her neck. She wasn't just the girl who kicked Kaylee in the gym. She was Lila Grayson, warrior, artist, survivor. Graduation came a week later, and Lila walked across the stage with honors, her sketchbooks tucked under her arm, her future wide open. She'd applied to an art school in Columbus, with a Taekwondo scholarship to keep her training. The shy girl was gone, replaced by someone who knew her worth. Asterisk K viewers. Where are you watching this epic story from? Drop your city or state. In the comments, let's see how far Lila's kick has traveled across the USA.